You know, I think it's better. My ears tell me it's better, so I'm not letting the results dictate my value.
The unexpected disappearance of Vince Gill from the stage, leaving fans anxious and perplexed, sent shockwaves across the country music industry. Fear and anguish swept the world as his unexpected silence shattered his reputation as a warm and welcoming performer. Who was this cherished icon, and what became of them? What happened that made Vince Gill's supporters cry? Let's find out. Vince Gill's charisma and personality are as beloved as his voice. His music is so genuine and comforting, it's like listening to a long-lost friend's voice. Everybody can relate to his songs, whether they're about religion, love, or heartbreak, because he's the type of musician who can do that. For that reason, his absence at the 2018 CMA Awards was noticed, and cause for concern. A lot of people were hoping that year for Vince to do a tribute to Ricky Skaggs. Seeing the two men perform together was supposed to be the night's most memorable moment because of the strong musical connection they had. However, many were perplexed when the program started without Vince. Concern grew from whispers in no time. Word quickly spread that Vince had checked into the hospital, where he was enduring the excruciating agony of a kidney stone, a disease that had taken hold in an instant. If you've ever had one, you know it's one of the most excruciating hurts you can imagine. Even for an actor like Vince, who never misses a performance, this was too much for him to handle. He was forced to cancel. There was no better time than then. Vince had to cancel his November 15th and 16 gigs in St. Louis and Birmingham, respectively, and miss the CMA Awards as a result. Even though they were devastated, those who had already planned their trips and purchased tickets reacted with sympathy rather than anger. Over the course of his career, Vince Gill has amassed that kind of admiration. His daughter, Jenny Gill, later intervened to soothe his admirers. She informed the local press that despite his agony, he is currently making a full recovery. He is safe with them, albeit it was terrifying. Her interviewee's quivering voice made it plain that this was more than simply a missed performance. It was a chance to remember that even legendary figures have frailties, and he hates letting fans down. Fans and celebrities from the country music scene started posting words of support. "We were all hoping to sing together, but Vince's health is more important," Ricky Skaggs said in a post-show interview, offering supportive comments. "I consider him a brother. I have faith that he will return even more determined than before." The announcement brought back memories for a lot of admirers. In a Facebook remark, a woman recalled the time her spouse suffered a kidney stone. "Nearly 3 in the morning, we found ourselves in the emergency room. That was terrible. Vince, please take care of yourself. I can't even begin to fathom attempting to perform with everything going on. We are here for you whenever you need us." During this period, Vince's profound bond with his audience was the most striking feature. The focus has shifted beyond music. A feeling of care, devotion, and concern were at the heart of everything. Vince Gill felt closer than most famous people in a world where that is not always the case. Fans sensed more than simply a change to the show's roster while he was absent. The staff working under Vince's supervision skillfully handled cancellations and reschedulings in the background. Many places were let down, but they were unanimous in their assessment. His health was paramount. Fans weren't the only ones who held him in high esteem. The whole business did as well. There was an understated strength to Vince's performance when he made his theatrical return a few weeks later. He was unnecessary in his explanation. It was his music that spoke volumes. He thanked the crowd, grinned, and performed with the same charisma and authenticity that had propelled him to fame. The audience didn't yell out their approval, but they did listen intently, as if they were afraid they might miss a note. It wasn't only a missed performance that caused the 2018 CMA Awards absence. It was a poignant reminder of Vince Gill's humanity, which makes him special beyond his musical talent. He is a human being who understands and prioritizes his loved ones, and he will never take his fans for granted. But this wasn't the first time Vince's abrupt departure had alarmed his followers. A few years later, he did it again with an unexpected stillness. In country music, Vince Gill had always maintained an enduring presence. His followers could rely on him. More than merely performances, his concerts had an intimate, human quality. As a result, the news that Vince had abruptly canceled 3 shows in late July 2022 shocked the audience. Suddenly, the dates in Tysons, Virginia, and Charlotte, North Carolina, were no longer on the schedule, completely lacking in depth. Initial lack of clarification, absolute stillness. To try to make sense of what had transpired, many turned to social media. How did Vince do? Had one of his members become ill? Concern developed rapidly as rumors began to circulate, and no official statement was made. According to one devoted follower, Vince doesn't just cancel. Something is seriously wrong, other people said, and the truth soon became apparent. Loved artist Amy Grant, Vince's wife, had been in a horrific bike accident. She was biking close to their Nashville house when she slammed into a pothole and was knocked off her bike. The impact was severe, even with her helmet on. A catastrophic brain injury, along with severe scrapes and bruises, befell Amy. The medical staff at Vanderbilt University hurried her to the hospital. After that, viewers understood that there had been no modification to the show's schedule. Life, health, and heartache were the themes. No comments were made by Vince to the press. A lengthy statement was not issued by him. In all he did was be at Amy's side. No concert was ever canceled, ignored at every turn. Her healing was his first priority. It was devastating news for the supporters. As a music legend, Amy Grant was much more than just Vince's wife. They represented unity in faith, family, and love. The sight of Amy on a hospital bed with Vince sitting silently at her side broke the hearts of people all around the nation. Some weeks later, a close friend of the family discussed the early days in an interview. Vince remained on her side whole time. Throughout it all, he was there to hold her hand. "If I have to, I will cancel every show," he informed the physicians. That is simply his character. She comes first. Fans who had been waiting eagerly were also given a quick update by Jenny Gill, who is Vince's daughter. "Fear gripped me. We were first unaware of how terrible it would be. Yet Mom is resilient. When it comes to her, Dad is even more powerful." The fans thought that, for the simple reason that a lot of them have been there, keeping hope alive in the face of overwhelming terror while seeing a loved one recuperate from an injury. No longer was Vince only a celebrity. He was a spouse going through the same pains as everyone else. A number of Nashville area churches organized prayer groups. Prayers were written online, and candles were lighted by fans. "The music of Amy was a comfort to me when things were tough," according to one Facebook commenter. "Allow yourself as much time as you need, Vince. It is our turn to be there for her now," was written by another admirer. "We will be available whenever you are." After a few weeks, Amy started to feel better. She had to undergo counseling after suffering from memory loss. Vince remained nearby and discreetly canceled more performances. Love was happening behind the scenes, without any dramatic statements or eye-catching headlines. Amy thanked the fans for their prayers and added that Vince had never left her side until she made her first public appearance months later. "The accident is something I don't recall," she stated. "However, each morning when I woke up, he was there. For me, he was a rock." That was the gist for a lot of supporters. The music of Vince Gill had long been praised. He became someone else, nevertheless, during that silent, agonizing summer of 2022. An emblem of loyalty he became. The void he created in his absence was profoundly felt by his supporters. However, the stillness was more expressive than the music. It was a tale of genuine terror, sacrifice, and love. And by the time he got back on stage, it was about more than simply the music. The focus was on recovery. More people started cheering. They paid more attention. For the simple reason that they were aware of Vince and Amy's struggles. The fact that he was standing there, grinning once more, was enough to make them thankful. During that summer, fans discovered something crucial. Even their beloved idols experience pain. At some point, even legendary figures must pause. However, their return is accompanied by an even greater sense of passion. Thus, Vince Gill is more than simply a musician. He is a member of the Gill family. I want to tell you about another pivotal event in Vince's life, one that challenged him, touched his admirers, and shown once again how many people find inspiration in his story. There has always been an air of understated power about Vince Gill. When he was on stage, his voice was at ease. He had a reputation off stage for being kind, modest, and polite. However, there are times when even the most resilient spirits are shaken. One of such occasions happened to Vince in 2020. A change has been noted by the fans. There was a noticeable difference in his performance enthusiasm. Even while he still poured his all into the music, there were telltale signs, longer than normal pauses between songs, times when he caught his breath. The general public attributed it to the effects of aging. Vince, though, was hiding a far darker reality. It was in that year when Vince's congenital heart defect was discovered. It had been creeping up on him for a while, but he finally had to do something about it. It was not something to be taken lightly, according to the physicians. He had to take things easy and make some adjustments, and not only in his music career. Vince, who had spent the better part of his life performing live, recording, and touring, found the prospect of retiring to be daunting. His life revolved on music. It was important to him. You can't help but pay attention when your heart talks. Some of his concerts were canceled by him. Observers were concerned. Like previous absences, this one caused social media to go crazy. "Is Vince okay?" A single post inquired. "He has been there for us when circumstances have been tough," according to another. Join him as he navigates. During a low-key performance in Nashville a few weeks down the road, Vince discreetly brought up the subject. "My heart is troubled," he said. "We've known for a long that it's a part of me from birth. At this point, though, it requires intervention." Complete silence. Truth alone. Even if it wasn't immediately fatal, he said the illness was severe enough to necessitate medical attention and a change in his job approach. Kneeling down, he vowed to be there for his family, his wife, daughters, and you all. The audience felt a profound individual connection at that time. When it comes to cardiac problems, everyone knows someone. Nearly everyone has experienced anxiety over a loved one. Meanwhile, Vince was being quite forthright about his experiences. It was obvious to him. He made no pretense of being unbeatable. He showed humanity to the globe. Afterwards, in an interview, Amy Grant revealed much more. Everyone else's problems always seemed to fall on Vince. On this occasion, we were compelled to hold him for a little period. He remained nice, even though he was terrified. He is that way. Making changes to his schedule was only the first step. Vince shifted his attention to his health as well. He stayed home more. He increased the frequency of his checkups. The man who used to dash from one metropolis to another started to ease up. However, his passion for music remained unwavering. In spite of everything, he continued to bring a grin to band sessions, according to a veteran band member. It was Vince who would suggest, "Let's make something beautiful today." The fact that he recognized when to quit, rather than just keep going, earned him more respect from his audience than ever before. That choice revealed his character, to prioritize his health and stay by his family's side. "I'd prefer Vince to be healthy and at home, instead of forcing him to perform for no reason at all," a fan said. "The music he has given us spans decades. He must now attend to his own requirements." After a while, Vince came back up on stage. His singing was just as genuine, but now there was a gentleness to his voice, a more profound form of power. In each word, you could feel the adventure. That is the distinctive quality that sets Vince Gill apart. He experiences life, highs and lows included, rather than merely singing about it. Vulnerability, he demonstrates, is strength, not weakness. The subsequent horrible rumor of Vince Gill's death, which spread like wildfire and shocked and disbelieved millions of people, was the most shocking event that happened to fans. Vince Gill died peacefully at his Nashville, Tennessee home. Fans, friends, and the whole music community were shocked and devastated by the news, which hit like a thunderclap. Country music's Vince has been a soother for decades, with his songs about love, optimism, tragedy, and perseverance. His health had been deteriorating in recent years, yet he remained a constant on stage and in people's hearts throughout the world. With his loved ones at his side, Vince breathed his last, ending a chapter that had been filled with great victories and deep defeats. The road ahead of Vince was never a picnic. He came from humble beginnings, born into a family that faced financial hardship on a daily basis in a tiny town in Oklahoma. Dreams felt far away, and money was scarce. However, Vince discovered comfort in music even at an early age. It became an oasis where he could forget about the problems in the real world and express himself freely. For hours on end, he would jam out on guitar, compose music, and fantasize about a future where his music would transport him places he had never been before. Difficulties abound throughout his formative years as a performer. At his dogged pursuit of stardom, Vince performed at innumerable dive bars and clubs. Problems and rejections occurred often. Despite the sometimes coldness and ruthlessness of the music industry, Vince's resolve never faltered. Over time, he became well known for more than simply his remarkable singing voice. His real humility and kindness also contributed to his success. Because of these traits, he was well liked by his colleagues and admirers alike. Vince started to get a lot of attention in the late 80s and 90s. His wonderful voice and very moving melodies garnered him accolades and admiration. Musicians' hits, "I Still Believe in You" and "Go Rest High on That Mountain" became healing anthems for many going through sorrow. What really set Vince's music apart was how genuine, honest, and approachable it was. His songs had an emotional impact on those who heard them. While he was off stage, life kept testing Vince. Insidious personal difficulties and health issues surfaced. He had secretly dealt with his congenital heart defect for years before his 2020 diagnosis, never allowing it to hold him back. The news of his condition made him re-evaluate his priorities in life and work. He could no longer endure punishing rides or test his physical limitations. Vince gracefully accepted the lesson and made the decision to put his health and family first. After he passed away in 2020, his wife Amy Grant suffered serious injuries in a cycling accident in 2022. For the sake of her healing, Vince postponed and ultimately canceled a number of shows. Vince was by Amy's side during the entire ordeal, even though she had severe injuries and a brain damage. Fans saw a more human side of Vince at this time, as he was a loving husband and father who prioritized his family above all else. Vince kept his chin up and his voice out there through thick and thin. Both his music and his presence continued to have a profound impact on people's lives. However, his health suddenly declined in early 2025. Vince gently died away at home in Nashville, surrounded by his family. The world has lost more than simply a musician. It has lost a storyteller, a friend, and an inspiration to everyone who have followed in his footsteps. There was an instant and sincere response. Musicians, admirers, and supporters from all across the globe were quick to offer their condolences. Reba McEntire recalled Vince as a man of kindness and humility who touched so many lives with his soul. Brad Paisley praised him as a true gentleman and an incredible talent whose music will live forever. Fans recounted how Vince's music had gotten them through tough times. His music was like a constant companion in my life, according to one admirer. A world devoid of his voice is unimaginable to me. Amy Grant spoke movingly about Vince's life and impact in an interview. Vince was a fighter from the start, she whispered. He overcame insurmountable obstacles, some of which were hidden from public view. However, he made sure they didn't define him. She said he was modest and loving, putting the needs of others above his own, and that music was his means of communicating with the world and expressing himself when words failed. I could always count on him, and he shone a light for everyone around him. Dad taught me how to be strong and kind, even when things get tough, Jenny Gill, their daughter, added. His music and the memories of those who loved him will keep his soul alive, even though I shall miss him daily. A tale of perseverance, optimism, and love is Vince Gill's. He proved to everyone that the key to strength is not to never fall, but to get back up each time life hits you. With humility and honesty, Vince weathered his challenging upbringing, a career that was full of praise and health struggles, and finally, his last days spent with loved ones. An enduring legacy that has the power to uplift and soothe. His music will never grow old. The millions of people who sought solace in his music will never let his voice die out, no matter how quiet it is today. Fans gathered to sing his songs and share memories at memorials and tributes throughout the country, celebrating his life. Special ceremonies were conducted in Nashville churches to remind everyone that Vince's effect would last forever, even if the final bow had been taken. Let's take a look at what it was about Vince Gill that inspired such heartfelt tributes from fans and fellow musicians in the wake of his death. The life and music of Vince Gill had an indelible impact on everyone he encountered. He was more than simply a country music superstar. Love, grief, hope, and perseverance were themes that ran through his songs. After his death, people throughout the globe were grieving the loss of an extraordinary human being, as well as a gifted artist. Many people's deep feelings were conveyed through the heartfelt tributes that were sent in honor of Vince by fans and other musicians. Vince made an intimate moment that moved everyone in attendance during his stay at Nashville's famous Ryman Auditorium. When My Amy Prays was a song he had written for his wife, Amy Grant. He presented his daughter, Corina Gill, to the crowd and asked her to sing it. Corina's rendition of the song with revised lyrics was even more moving than the original. During the difficult years following Amy's severe bicycle accident, the song served as a lovely reminder of the family's resilience and solidarity. As Corina performed with genuine emotion, the crowd sat quietly, some of them rubbing tears from their eyes. An intimate look at the life of a guy who prioritized his family above all else. This was more than simply a musical performance. As he stood on stage beside his daughter, Vince reminded the world that love can triumph over adversity. Following Vince's death, many of his fellow artists and friends took to social media to share their condolences and memories. Vince Gill was an inspiration due to his generosity and skill, according to a touching remark from Brad Paisley, a country music artist and close friend of Brad's. His demeanor was one of elegance and modesty at all times. His character truly made him unforgettable, Brad said, echoing the feelings of those who knew Vince off stage as well as on stage, despite the fact that his music gave joy to millions. Another close friend of Vince's, the country music icon Reba McEntire, spoke about him. "Among the nicest people I've ever met, Vince stands out. Achieving fame never made him arrogant. If you needed someone to talk to or an ear to listen, he was always available." Fans were reminded in Reba's tribute that Vince's real spirit was his greatest strength. It inspired not just his fans, but also his colleagues and employees throughout his career. His music was powerful, but his heart was much more so. The interview with Vince's wife, Amy Grant, who was there for him through thick and thin, was heartbreaking since it detailed their shared struggle. "My dearest friend, companion, and rock, Vince was. We overcame health crises, accidents, and the stresses of the music industry as a unit. But Vince's brightness shone brightly throughout. The depth of his love and the sacrifices he made for both his music and our family were revealed to audiences via Amy's words, which offered a window into the intimate strength and sensitivity that characterized their relationship. At morning services, Vince's musical peers also joined together to pay their respects. His widespread influence across genres was demonstrated by the numerous musicians that performed cover versions of his most popular songs. Celebrity musician Carrie Underwood has credited Vince for influencing her career. The world was blessed by his voice and music. It was clear from these testimonials that Vince was highly esteemed for more than only his musical abilities. He was also revered for the way he helped others succeed. Additionally, fans submitted anecdotes about themselves. Whether it was recovering from a loss or finding optimism in the midst of adversity, many people found solace in Vince's music. "The one thing that helped me cope with the loss of my father was hearing Vince's 'Go Rest High on That Mountain,' as one admirer put it." This unusual bond between artist and audience demonstrated the immense impact of Vince's legacy. His music is like a comforting embrace in times of need. Vince's legacy lives on via his loved ones. His proud daughter Corina spoke of continuing her father's musical heritage. Bringing "When My Amy Prays" to life at Ryman was an incredible experience. The tale came full circle with Corina's remarks, demonstrating that the legacy of music and love would be passed down through generations, and it served as a reminder to me that music is about more than simply fame and accolades. It's about healing and sharing love. Many expressed their condolences and shared their grief on social media in the days after Vince passed away. Many fans took to social media to convey their adoration for Vince Gill, posting videos of him performing, song lyrics, and personal messages. People all across the globe came together in grief and happiness as the hashtag #RememberVinceGill started trending. What really moved people in these tributes was not just Vince's amazing skill, but also the guy behind the music, a friend, father, and spouse who bravely and kindly weathered life's storms. His life was an inspiration of overcoming adversity and having faith in the restorative power of music and love. In spite of everyone bidding farewell, Vince's legacy lived on in the memories of his loved ones. The perseverance and optimism he displayed in the face of adversity are immortalized in his music. Even though Vince Gill has taken his last bow, the affection and tributes he received serve as a constant reminder that his music and legacy will endure. Many of Vince's devoted followers went to his vast song library again in the weeks after his death, seeking solace and community via his music. As a means of working with bereavement and recalling Vince's constant generosity, songs like "Go Rest High on That Mountain" and "When I Call Your Name" took on new significance. Messages, videos, and covers of his music flooded his social media accounts. A lot of his listeners spoke about how his music has been there for them through the good times and the bad. "Listening to Vince's songs, I feel like he's right there with me," one admirer commented. A video of a candlelight memorial in a tiny village, where inhabitants sung Vince's songs together in honor, was posted by another. "His voice was a light in my darkest days." Gatherings like this demonstrated how profoundly Vince's music had become a part of people's lives, bringing them together through common experiences and feelings. Memorial services were diverse. Many admirers expressed their appreciation for the solace Vince's music had offered them through letters and poetry, while others drew inspiration from his image and words to produce works of art. To further honor Vince and keep his memory alive, a group of young musicians even banded together to establish a tribute band and play his music at various local events. Rather from being solemn observances of loss, these memorial services celebrated a life that had affected countless lives. In honor of Vince, several radio stations aired special programs, including his music and anecdotes. Interviews with relatives and other artists gave listeners a better look at the guy behind the music. These broadcasts served as a reminder to listeners of the profound impact of Vince's songs, that they were crafted from genuine experiences of love, heartache, and reality. At concerts and festivals, fans would also pay tribute to Vince. A lot of country musicians stopped what they were doing at concerts to pay their respects, and some even dedicated songs to him. Members of the audience, bonded by their common sense of loss and recollection, carried placards and sang along, their eyes watering. These instances demonstrated how deeply Vince's music has integrated into the fabric of significant life events. The melodies and lyrics of Vince often come back to admirers in the most unexpected ways, and they find themselves singing them in their daily lives. His music has become an integral part of their lives, whether it's performed at weddings, on road trips, or when they're going through a tough time. It is clear from this continuing relationship that Vince's impact will endure long after he passes away. He is a source of inspiration for bravery, recovery, and optimism. Millions of people have found comfort in Vince Gill's music, and his legacy will live on in their hearts, as much as in his albums and accolades. True art has no expiration date as long as there is love and adoration from admirers. A reassuring presence for those who grieve greatly, Vince's soul is present in every chord and word. Is Vince Gill's death something that you can relate to? How much do you long for the joy he brought to people's lives through his music? In the comments, please share your memories and thoughts about him. Let us remember him together.